What's up you guys, and welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to be showing you 3 reasons to use a keyboard to play a Microsoft Flight Simulator on Xbox. In other words, 3 things that you can do with only a keyboard plugged in. But before we go any further, I just want to ask, if you're not already subscribed to the channel, that you would go ahead and do that. And if you want to receive notifications of when I do upload videos, then please do switch on that bell icon. That would mean a great deal to me. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please do leave me a like and let me know in the comments section if you've been playing Flight Simulator on Xbox, and if you've just been using the standard keyboard, or if you'd also be using the keyboard and mouse. In my last video, I got started using the mouse, and I have upgraded to use a keyboard as well for this video. Now, in the last video, I did go through the advantages of using a mouse for the startup checklist, and also some options in terms of the actual menus and just being able to flick through those very quickly. So let's jump into the cockpit, and first things first, I'm going to get started with the first reason to use a keyboard. As we can see, we are in Heathrow at the moment, so we will be departing from London Heathrow and flying across to New York. We'll be touching down in JFK Airport, although I'm not a massive sort of expert on flying the old jumbo jet, the 747. So we should have a bit of fun in this particular video with that. But what I'm going to do firstly is just whip open the checklist and take a look at this. We'll also pull open the ATC menu, just in order to deal with sort of any radio operations in terms of air traffic control when we actually get the systems online. I do have the ATC voices switched off for this video. This will be something that I'll be doing for the foreseeable future going forward, just for videos, because the voices kind of get in the way when I'm kind of talk about things. Yeah, it just kind of comes in and it makes me feel like I should be quiet, as where I just want to sort of flow. So looking at this checklist, so before starting engine, we are using the mouse for this. Now, we want to be looking for the battery switch. Now, I know that it's above me somewhere up here, and now I can do this on the mouse by basically flicking upwards like this. But another option here, if you go on a keyboard, I'll just make sure that we're sort of tuned in here, but make sure we're switched on. But if you are using a keyboard, you can use Control and the numerical keys in order to flick through and access certain parts of the cockpit control panel. So yeah, a very easy way to get to look up there is to use Control 9 or Control 8, which will take you straight up there. So the battery switch is somewhere up here, although, as I say, I'm not entirely versed with the startup of this, or the flight for that matter, of the jumbo jet. So what I'm going to do is click on this little icon here, and that's going to tell me here that the cover is here. We're going to open it, and then we can switch on the battery like so. So we'll tick this one off, and the next we have standby power selector. So we'll switch this one here. Sorry, it's up here to auto, like so. And we'll now tick this one. External power, only when available, so we won't switch these on for now. We could use external power if we connected that by the ground services menu over here. So you could go over here and you could tune into ground. We'll actually tune into ground, but then you could also request power supply there. In a moment, we're going to be requesting a pushback, but we'll do that in just a moment. So we'll tick this. APU selector, so start and then on. That's this one here. So we'll do start and then return that back to the on position. We'll tick this off. APU gen switches. Just trying to think where this one is now. So only when available, lit. We'll switch those on like that. You can hear something firing up. Fuel pumps. These are these ones, so it's literally just a case of switching these on like that. I can imagine, getting into this as a pilot, sort of having to do this each time. And this kind of is exciting to me to run through this. It's really part of the sim. And obviously hearing the different sounds as sort of different parts of the engine start up, different parts of the electronic systems come online. So it's just the beacon on like that. We'll take that. So that's us done with our first checklist. Now we're going to move through our second list. So the first thing we're going to do here is look at our thrust handle. I'm just going to see where this is. So Control 4 is a good one for us to use because we're going to be monitoring this in just a moment. So our thrust handles there, thrust levers should I say, is Control 5. We can also go Control 6 for the reverse thrust levers. But yeah, these should be in idle, which they are. So we can tick this one off. APU bleed. Not entirely too sure where this one is. I think it's directing me over here. It's difficult to see because we've got the ATC menu open as well there. And that one should be on. Well, it was on. We'll tick this off. Engine bleed air switch should be on. There's 4 of these, 1 for each engine. Switch these on. Okay, next switch. Next switches are the engine 4 start switches. So they're here. Now you can do one at a time. I have a tendency to just do them all at the same time. So 4, 3, 2 and then 1. Tick this. Engine fuel control. I know that they are down here. But I select that anyway just to kind of highlight them. So they should now be starting up. We can now go to the EICAS, which is, I think we said Control 5. No. Control 3. Yep, that'll give us this. So you can see the engine's firing up now there. So we can monitor that as the turbines come up. We can also take a look outside right now. So we'll tick this one off. We'll also tick off this one here because we know that that's happening. And then we'll go to after engine startup and we're going to go APU selector. And we're going to switch this one to off now. That's the starter is switched off now. And the lights, which are these ones here, all of these need switching on. Like so. As I say guys, as we go we'll probably be able to switch off some of these things when we get in the air, once we know what they do. But I think things like for example, the taxi lights and things of that nature can be switched off. Like these ones here, like I say, runaway lights and the taxi lights I think can be switched off when we get into the air. But that's our startup checklist done, so we can close that one. What we're going to do now is, let's see if we can request clearance. So we're going to request taxi clearance to depart to the west. I'm glad I switched off these voices because that would be a lot of noise in our ears right now. But we're going to acknowledge the taxi clearance. Like so. Okay, and then we'll go back to ground services and we will look to, if it'll let us, request a pushback. We do need to switch off the parking brake before we do that, which is a left click on the D-pad, like I've just done that, but I think also we'll be able to at some point when I actually figure it out. This will be the landing gear, but there will be a parking brake somewhere here as well. Let's just have a quick flick through the controls. Yeah, there it is, just to the left there. Parking brake. What we'll do is we'll see if we can get a sort of better cockpit view here. Where is it? Where is it? I can't imagine there it is anyway. So we are getting our pushback currently, so we will request a pushback and stay to the left. To the right, should I say. So that's happening right now. We're going to request that the pushback stops in just a moment. Let's do this when we get lined up with this sort of taxi markers here. And I'm going to show you a couple more quick things that you can do with the keyboard. This will be the end of our first reason to use a keyboard for Microsoft Flight Sim. So we'll request this now stops. And there we go. If we come outside, you can see we're nicely lined up with our direction now. So we are going to make our way to the runway. But before we do that, I'll just jump back in the cockpit now. you can sort of move things around now. You can move your view around a little bit. So if you push down on the arrow key, that will move you down a little bit. I'll just move my mouse a bit because it's sort of bouncing off there, bouncing off that clearance thing. Now, if you push up, you can sort of get a better view, which I quite like. And also you can use this in sort of coordination with the mouse. I like to roll back on the mouse wheel just to give us a good view of what's happening. I guess that's sort of a realistic view. We'll close this for now. And what we're going to do now is just make our way over to the runway. Just power up a bit here and get us over to the runway. What I've noticed actually, just as another little tip, is if you're a little bit gentler with the rudder with the 747, you tend to get a bit more out of it in terms of turning. And also not to be going too fast because it just doesn't respond rudder-wise when it comes to making these turns when you're on the ground. Okay guys, what I'll do is I'll make my way over to this runway and then I'll see you there for the next reason to use a keyboard for Microsoft Flight Simulator on the Xbox. Right then guys, so you join me on the runway ready for takeoff. As you can see, we are cleared, so we are going to close this ATC box now and get the engine up to full thrust, like so, and get ourselves underway with this flight. Just building up speed here. As you can see from the cockpit view, we can see quite a lot of the controls, and also we can see the runway pretty well as well. We are veering off to the left quite badly there. I wonder whether that's just wind happening here. But anyway, we'll pull back now on the controls, like so. Get ourselves climbing up. Pull in the gear. There we go. Just roll off a little bit to the right again, I think, here. And just get ourselves sorted. Must be quite a lot of wind, I think, today. Reduce flaps. Continue a nice climb here. Wow, those clouds look beautiful. Let's keep going. Stay on full power here. And there's Heathrow just behind us, as we're starting a pretty decent climb here. I think what I'll do, guys, is I'll climb up to around about 20,000 feet. If I come across any sort of nice views as I do this, as I cut through the clouds, I'll cut back and let you see that. So we've just passed 15,000 feet, and as you can see at this height, the views are absolutely astonishing. Look at how beautiful those clouds look as we're just above the first layer there. Absolutely stunning. So beautifully rendered. I mean, it just looks real. Maybe even better than the real thing. Look at that. I mean, it just goes on and on for miles as well in each direction. And us climbing here, obviously the sort of high-pitched singing sound of the engines roaring and pushing us up. It just looks, this is one of the greatest things about this game, just this sort of height right now in this jumbo jet, and just seeing this. What other game are you going to be able to do this in and be able to see these sorts of views? I personally can't name one. About 18,000 feet, so we're not too far away from the 20,000 feet that I'm aiming for. I think what we'll do is just pull up the map and just make sure we're sort of headed in the right direction. So yeah, we are pretty much headed in the right direction, heading towards New York. I think now might be a good time for me to show you this second trick that you can do with the keyboard. So generally speaking, if we were at sort of cruise altitude now, which could be anything between I don't know, 25 to 35,000 feet, something like that, potentially. I think we would be eased off on the power and just sort of leveled out nicely. But without doing that, I just wanted to show you something. I mean, obviously, this trip is going to take a very long time. I mean, even if you're playing this game now, everything's in real time. I think at the start of this trip, it was estimating X number of hours. Now, we don't all have that amount of time to sit here and fly. I mean, at the moment, we're not even that far from Heathrow. But the one thing that we do want to do is make sure that we're getting to our location eventually so that we can land. I mean, this game is all about flying, but if you imagine when we hit the west coast of England and we sort of start to cross over the water and then we're going over the ocean after that, it's going to take hours of just flying over water, and not everybody's got time for that. I think there's a very, very slim sort of market for that in terms of people who will want to do that. Maybe streamers might want to do, I don't know. But anyway, I mean, like, so this tip here is going to show you how to speed up the sim. And the one thing that I will say is you can't have autopilot engaged to do this. As soon as you go into the menu up here, if you went into the menu and you went into Flight Assistant and then say you turn on AI Pilot in here, you can't use this option because the keyboard commands no longer are available. It just doesn't allow any sort of keyboard input. But in order to switch this keyboard setting on, because it's not on as default, what you want to do is just hit escape or menu button if you want to go into the controls that way. And then once you're in this menu, you just hit the control options like so. And then you want to be on keyboard, and then if you just go to search by name, if you type in here sim, hit enter, it'll then give you some boxes here for the increase sim rate and decrease sim rate. Now I've got mine in as control plus M to increase, control plus N to decrease. The reason for that is because those key settings just weren't mapped to anything else. There's a lot of things that are mapped already, so just be aware of that. But we're just going to hit resume. Now, once we're actually flying like this, we're at a stable sort of height and everything like that. You just want to hit Control M or whatever you have that mapped as, and it will speed up the sim, like so. So we're moving at a much faster rate here. What you do need to be aware of is any commands do take time to sort of happen. We're sort of increasing in height here and sort of still gaining airspeed, but we are veering quite a great deal off track. So just trying to bring us back in there, as you can see, has a massive impact. And if you want to reduce your airspeed, if you want to reduce the sim speed back down to where it was, you just need to hit decrease by the same number of presses should I say, as what you did increase. So 1, 2, 3, I think 4 is about right. Maybe that's, yeah, that seems to be back to normal now. So yeah, the one thing that I will say is there's no indicator whatsoever of how many times you've hit it and what your sort of sim rate is. They should really include that. I think a little sort of indicator in the top right hand corner wouldn't go amiss. But just taking a look at these clouds again here, guys, look at this. Absolutely stunning. Absolutely stunning. So yeah, if you wanted to make fairly light work of this trip, you would increase your sim rate. Like so. I've hit it 5 times there. But you do need to keep an eye on your altitude. You do need to keep an eye on your airspeed, just to make sure that nothing goes wrong. But this gets us across England a lot faster by doing this. I mean, if you're doing a trip like something like London to Scotland as well, you might find that would be shortened greatly. But here we are, guys. We're heading over the sea now. Crossing over the water. Making good progress. I believe that's Ireland there. Could be wrong. Let's have a look. I can't see where my mouse is because obviously when we're doing this, there we go. Yeah, looks like we're over island now. So when we're doing this, everything's sped up, including the mouse, speed as well, and everything just becomes a little bit difficult to manage. Let's just slow it back down again very quickly. So there we go, back down to sort of normal speed. But as you can see, yeah, we're over island. It does increase the entire thing. And there we are, guys. That's where we've come from. And this is where we are now. What I'm going to do now, guys, is I'm going to close this map. We're going to take a quick look at the beautiful, beautiful scenery here. From this height, 34,000 feet. And then I'm going to put a skip in next to us landing in New York, where we will pick up our final and third tip. So you're joining me back here now on my approach to Kennedy, New York. See if we can make this turn and get it down. I'm going to put the landing gear out. A little high right now. I'm going to try and get lined up with this runway, but the speed's about right. What we'll try and do is get it lined up quite nicely. We're a little bit off in terms of our angle here. Let's see if we can line it up a bit better. Hey, that's not too bad. That's not too bad. I'm not an expert at landing this jumbo by any means, so don't expect much here. Trying to get it in the middle. There we go. And we'll make a turn off this runway. Right then, guys, so now that we're down safe and sound and we're in JFK Airport, and that was a fairly decent landing, I feel, overall, considering yeah, I've been practicing and kind of working on that one, but really pleased with it overall. Say that landing didn't go great and I wanted to get more practice in. Now, this final keyboard command is going to help with that, along with a whole bunch of other things that really you could kind of put yourself in any position that you desired. So all you need to do is to hit Y on the keyboard, and that's going to take us into a mode called Slew mode. Now from here we can position ourselves exactly how we desire. You can press F4 to go up. I think F3 takes you up at a slower pace as well, as does F2. I thought F2 took you down, it doesn't. F1 reduces your altitude. So let's just go up, and you can move yourself around with the right stick. Kind of change direction, either anti-clockwise or clockwise. Now these commands can also be done on the numerical keyboard with 1 and 3, which moves you anti-clockwise by pressing 1 and clockwise by pressing 3. You can also move forward in the world by pressing 8. You can move backwards in the world by pressing 2. You can move to the left, kind of strafe to the left, or you can strafe to the right by pressing 6. So that's 4 and 6 to strafe. And you can put yourself up to an altitude that you desire and kind of do whatever you want. I guess if you wanted to, you could practice your approach to an airport. You could get yourself at kind of 3,000 feet, something like that, and maybe 2,000 or 3,000 feet, and get yourself lined up on a runway. To end this video, I'm going to attempt a loop in the 747. Now we're at 40,000 feet, and we don't want to be going too much higher than this, to be fair. I think max altitude for this plane, I think, is 43,000. Don't quote me on that though, but I'm pretty sure that's right. Now to come out of Slew mode, all you need to do is to hit Y again. And as you can see, it's put us out of that mode. And what I'm going to do is put us into a dive. I'm going to increase the power to maximum. Try and get control of this thing. Because of our height that we've come in there, We are all over the place. I'm going to reduce the flaps as well and get those completely off. Now, we're in this dive. I'm going to get the airspeed up to kind of something dangerous, to be fair. And if we were on full sim mode, I think we would struggle to keep the aircraft in one piece at the kind of speeds that we're going to be going here. But as you can see, we're in a pretty horrific dive, as we are now passing 26,000 feet, 25,000 feet. And we're going to start pulling up. We're going to get the nose up and hopefully get ourselves into a loop. Now, if you ever wondered if a 747 can do a loop, you're seeing it here, guys. Come on. This is evidence for it right here. This is evidence for it right here, guys. Let's get ourselves back in the cockpit. We'll pull round. Continue to go round. And as you can see, we're now upside down. There you go, guys. 747 jumbo jet upside down, baby. There we go. Let's get this thing round and see if we can pull her all the way around. Here we go. Yeah, it's happening. It's happening. Come on. 30,000 feet. Nice little loop. We want to pull ourselves out of this nosedive as best as possible. We've got enough speed, I think, to do it. Come on, come on. 23,000, 22,000, 21,000, 20,000, and we're just about leveling off, I think. There we go. 18,000 feet. Nicely leveled. We'll reduce the power down, get our airspeed down. And there we go, guys. Let's see if we can level her out nicely. Look at that view there. Stunning. Nice view of the sun there as well. Push the nose down a bit. Maybe get the trim just down quite a bit because of the amount of speed we've got. The nose is wanting to come up. There we go. Nicely back to leveled. Reduce the power again. And there's New York, guys. Under us. There we go. Beautiful view there just to finish things off. I want to say thanks so much for coming through to check out this video. If you enjoyed it, please do leave me a like. And let me know in the comments section if you've been using keyboard and mouse to play this game and how you're getting on with it. Thanks so much for coming through, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please do click on one of the videos that are up on screen now, which will take you to more action, something like this hopefully. And I'll catch you guys again soon.